1. Schindler's List. There are films that entertain. And then there are films that refuse to let you look away. Schindler's List holds up a mirror to humanity's darkest chapter and forces you to witness what one man could do when silence became complicity. It doesn't ask for your tears. It earns them. Every frame carries the weight of lives that mattered, lives that were stolen. And in the end, when you see what guilt looks like on the face of someone who saved 1,000 souls but mourns the ones he couldn't, you'll understand that some wounds never close. This isn't a movie, it's a reckoning. 2. Grave of the Fireflies. Innocence doesn't survive war. It dies quietly, in the rubble, in the hunger, in the eyes of a boy who promises his sister that everything will be okay, knowing it won't. Grave of the Fireflies doesn't show you battlefields. It shows you what's left behind. 2 children, alone in a world that has forgotten them. Their love for each other is pure. Their suffering is unbearable. And when the fireflies fade, you'll realize you've just watched something irreversible. This film doesn't break your heart. It empties it. 3. Dear Zachary. A letter to a son about his father. Some documentaries inform you. This one destroys you. What begins as a loving tribute to a murdered friend becomes something far more devastating. A father's love, a mother's nightmare, and a system that fails in ways you cannot prepare for. Dear Zachary doesn't manipulate. It simply unfolds. And with each revelation, you'll feel the ground disappear beneath you. This is grief in its rawest form, injustice in its cruelest. And by the end, you won't just be crying, you'll be changed. 4. Requiem for a Dream. Hope is fragile, and addiction knows exactly where to strike. Requiem for a Dream doesn't glamorize the fall, it drags you down into it. 4 people chasing something better. 4 people losing everything that makes them whole. The mother who just wants to be seen. The lovers who believe in a future that's already slipping away. Every choice compounds. Every moment tightens the noose. And when the screen fades to black, you'll sit in silence. Not because it's over, but because you've just witnessed the complete erasure of the human spirit. 5. Manchester by the Sea. Grief doesn't end. It just becomes the room you live in. Manchester by the Sea understands this with a quiet brutality that few films dare attempt. A man returns to a place he can't escape, a past he can't undo, and a pain so deep that even kindness feels like an assault. This isn't about redemption. It's about survival, about carrying weight that never lightens. Every conversation is an excavation. Every silence screams. And when you realize that some people don't get to heal, you'll understand why this film lingers long after the credits roll. 6. The Boy in the Striped Pajamas. Friendship knows no walls, but history does. The Boy in the Striped Pajamas is told through the eyes of innocence. 2 boys on opposite sides of a fence, unaware of the horror that divides them. One doesn't understand what his father does. The other doesn't understand why he's trapped. Their bond is pure. Their world is poison. And when the final moments arrive, they arrive with a silence so devastating that you'll forget how to breathe. This is what happens when childhood ends in an instant. And you'll never forget it. 7. Dancer in the Dark. Sacrifice has a face. And in Dancer in the Dark, it's a woman who gives everything for a dream that isn't even hers. She sees the world through music because reality is unbearable. She works herself blind, literally, to give her son a future she'll never witness. Every note she hums is an escape. Every step she takes is toward an ending you can feel. coming but can't accept. This film is relentless. It's unfair. And it will leave you questioning whether love is beautiful or the cruelest thing we're capable of. 8. The Green Mile. Miracles don't always save us. Sometimes they just make the injustice more unbearable. The Green Mile introduces you to a man with a gift he never asked for. A gentle giant condemned to death row, surrounded by cruelty and indifference. His kindness is met with violence. His power is met with fear. And the man tasked with his execution begins to see the world for what it is. A place where goodness is punished and evil endures. This isn't about fantasy. It's about what we do to the pure-hearted. And the answer will break you. 9. A Monster Calls. Grief isn't linear. It's a monster. And sometimes the only way to survive it is to face the truth you've been running from. A Monster Calls follows a boy who conjures stories to escape a reality too painful to accept. His mother is fading. His anger is growing. And the monster that visits him doesn't offer comfort. It offers clarity. Each tale peels back another layer of denial. Each lesson pushes him closer to the unbearable. And when he finally speaks the words he's been holding inside, you'll feel it in your chest like a stone dropping into deep water. 10. Life is beautiful. Love can be a shield, but it can't stop the world from burning. Life is Beautiful is the story of a father who turns a concentration camp into a game to protect his son from the truth of where they are. His humor is an act of defiance. His hope is a weapon. And his sacrifice is so profound that you won't know whether to smile or weep. This film doesn't deny the darkness. It just refuses to let it win. And when the final scene arrives, you'll realize you've witnessed the most heartbreaking act of love ever put to film. 11. Blue Valentine. Love dies in small moments. A look that lingers too long. A silence that says too much. Blue Valentine doesn't show you the explosion. It shows you the slow collapse. Two people who were everything to each other, now barely recognizable. The film cuts between their beginning and their end, and the contrast is unbearable. You'll watch them fall in love with a tenderness that makes you ache, and you'll watch them fall apart with a coldness that feels too real. This is what happens when forever has an expiration date, and it will gut you. 12. Room. The world you know is not the only world there is. For some, the world is four walls, a locked door, and a mother who becomes everything: protector, teacher, universe. Room is about captivity, but it's also about love so fierce it creates light in the darkest places. A mother shields her son from the horror of their reality by turning it into wonder. And when the door finally opens, the real challenge begins. Freedom doesn't erase trauma. It just changes the cage. This film will break you gently and then break you again. 13. Arrival. What if you knew how your story ended and you chose it anyway? Arrival isn't just about aliens. It's about time, memory, and the impossible weight of loving something you know you'll lose. A linguist learns a language that changes how she sees the world. And with it comes the knowledge of every moment to come. The joy, the devastation, the love that will define her. And she says yes, not because it's easy, because it's worth it. This film will make you rethink what it means to truly live. And it will leave you shattered in the most beautiful way. 14. The Elephant Man. Humanity isn't defined by how we look. It's defined by how we're treated. The Elephant Man tells the story of a man so physically deformed that society sees him as less than human. He's paraded, mocked, abused, But beneath the surface is a soul of staggering grace and intelligence, a man who simply wants dignity, kindness, to be seen. And when he finally is, the contrast is so stark, it becomes unbearable. This is a film about cruelty, about compassion, and about the quiet agony of being judged for something you cannot change. 15. Atonement. Some mistakes can't be undone. Some lies destroy more than one life. Atonement follows the ripple effect of a single false accusation made by a child who didn't understand the consequences. Love is torn apart, futures are stolen, and guilt becomes a life sentence. The film moves through time with a delicate brutality, showing you what could have been and what actually was. Every frame is haunted by the question, can we ever truly atone for the harm we've caused? And the answer it gives will leave you hot. 16. Her. Loneliness doesn't need a reason. Sometimes it just is. Her explores what it means to connect in a world where connection feels impossible. A man falls in love with an operating system, not because he's broken, but because she understands him in ways no one else does. Their relationship is real. The emotions are real. And the heartbreak is devastating. This isn't science fiction. It's a mirror, a reflection of how we search for meaning in a world that increasingly feels distant. And when it ends, you'll feel the emptiness he feels. Completely. 17. The father. Memory is identity. And when it starts to slip, so do you. The father places you inside the mind of a man losing himself to dementia. Time fractures, faces change. The apartment he knows becomes unfamiliar, and the daughter trying to help him becomes a stranger. This film doesn't explain the disease. It makes you experience it. The confusion, the fear, the moments of clarity that are somehow worse because they remind you of what's being lost. By the end, you won't just understand dementia, you'll have lived it, and it will haunt you. 18. The pursuit of happiness. Rock bottom has a basement, and sometimes you have to dig through concrete just to see daylight. The pursuit of happiness follows a father and son as they lose everything. Their home, their security, their dignity, but never each other. Every night in a shelter, every rejection, every moment of exhaustion is a test of will. This isn't a rags to riches fantasy. It's a portrait of what survival actually cost. The strength it takes to keep going when the world tells you to give up. And when the breakthrough finally comes, you won't just be happy for him. You'll be exhausted. Because you've carried every step with him. 19. Legends of the Fall. Time takes everything. Love, brothers, innocence. Legends of the Fall is an epic about a family torn apart by war, jealousy, and fate. Three brothers love the same woman. One loves freedom more than safety, and their father watches as everything he built crumbles. The landscape is beautiful. The music is haunting. But beneath it all is a deep, aching sadness. This is a story about how the things we love most are the things we lose. How passion becomes tragedy, and how some people are too wild for the world to hold. You leave this film feeling like you've lived a lifetime and mourned one. 20. Eternal sunshine of the spotless mind. What if you could erase the pain? Would you also erase the love? Eternal sunshine of the spotless mind asks the impossible question. Is it better to have loved and lost, or to forget entirely? A couple chooses to delete each other from their memories after a brutal breakup. But as the procedure unfolds, one of them begins to remember why it mattered. The joy, the intimacy, the moments that made the pain worth it. This film is a maze of memory and regret, a love story told in reverse. And by the end, when the cycle begins again, you'll realize that some love is worth the heartbreak, even if it destroys you.